after 130 or more years of so-called freedom, you are worse off today than you were as a slave. You are unemployed, unemployable, filled with education, but no guidance as to how to make that education work for your own liberation. Look at you. You have now turned inward on yourself, and you have become the #1 killer, raper, robber, beater, shooter, destroyer of your own self and people. What has happened to you? With a church on every corner.
In this video, Mr. Louis Farrakhan exposes why black people are struggling in the United States of America. Mr. Louis Farrakhan is an American religious leader, an Islamic cleric to be exact, and he is a black nationalist who speaks on racism and how to empower black people. In this video, he shares with us how we can be set free by simply knowing the truth. So let's watch this video as he explains in the video, then we'll come back here and discuss further about it. But before we watch the video, if you haven't yet liked this video, kindly like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Let's watch the video together.
Our preachers, teachers, politicians, leaders are too weak in defense of the people of God. Certainly not all, but too many. I have to speak the truth.
Yes, sir. Tell the truth.
Our preachers, our leaders in business and in pardon me, in education, in art, culture, sport, entertainment, are all controlled by forces that make them unable to speak or act on behalf of our suffering people. Our people are dying in the streets of America. They are not dying because they want to die. They are dying because of their ignorance, their fear, their lack of knowledge. As one of the prophets wrote, "My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge." What kind of knowledge are you missing that causes your and my destruction? All of us sitting here know something. Why did the prophet say we are destroyed for the lack of knowledge? We have college degrees here, from Bachelor of Science all the way to PhD. Why then do the prophets say we are destroyed for the lack of knowledge when most of us have gone to some kind of school? What kind of knowledge are we missing? Dear brothers and sisters, the schools of America, fine as they may be, were never set up to teach you and me that which would free us from the grip of our oppressors. No college, no university, no PhD degree was designed to give you and me freedom from the grip of our oppressor or slave master's children. This is why in 1993 you are in the same relative position as your slave parents, or worse, because in slavery all of us had a job.
All of us.
In slavery, all of us could eat something. We all had a little cheap clothing and a little cheap place to live. But after 130 or more years of so-called freedom, you are worse off today than you were as a slave. You are unemployed, unemployable, filled with education, but no guidance as to how to make that education work for your own liberation. Look at you. You have now turned inward on yourself, and you have become the #1 killer, raper, robber, beater, shooter, destroyer of your own self and people. What has happened to you? With a church on every corner. Reverend, dear Reverend, Brother Farrakhan is not against you. I love you. I love you. But with a church on every corner, and you cannot turn on your radio or television without somebody preaching the name of Jesus. But the moral fiber of a nation is going down, down, down. All the preaching in the world cannot stop the fall of America. All of the big sounding words of political and religious leaders and civic leaders cannot stop the spiraling decay of American society. What is wrong? The nation of America, the greatest nation on this earth, in the last 6,000 years, she has no equal. Yet, she's dying even as we speak. And there is no doctor of philosophy or religion or education or chemistry or economics that can solve the problems of this nation, which continue to escalate, to increase as the hand of a mighty God begins to lash a nation that no superpower can handle, but God can take a drop of rain and multiply the raindrops and destroy millions of acres of producing land and render you helpless. God can take atoms of air and produce a wall with wind and tear down your fine buildings, undermine their foundations, set loose in thunderstorms mighty tornadoes that have the energy of hydrogen and atomic weapons and uproot your fine buildings. And you can't arrest God for what he does. Your economy is in ruins. Over $4 trillion in debt.
Yes, sir.
How can you understand when we don't know what thousands of dollars look like? How can we understand what trillions look like? Well, let me see if I can give you a picture. If we had dollar bills stacked on top of each other, $4 trillion would take us 35 miles beyond the moon, which is approximately 250,000 miles away. That's the kind of debt that America is in. And if Mr. Clinton cannot reduce the deficit, bring it down and make it manageable, each year the deficit increases by $400 to $500 billion, which means that at the end of his first 4 years, America could be $6 trillion in debt, a debt that equals her gross national product. The country is in trouble. If America is in trouble, God help the black man and woman. For when he's in trouble, we have descended into hell.
Go ahead, sir.
What is wrong? America, you started wrong. America, you were on the wrong track from your inception as a nation. Nothing is irredeemable, but we have to face facts. How did she start? She said she was seeking freedom. Nothing wrong with that. Every human life seeks freedom. But how did you mean to get freedom for yourself by depriving others of the precious gift? So in white Europeans' quest for freedom from European oppression, they found the Western Hemisphere. Now, dear Native Americans, we know that the country was taken from you. But justice has to be brought to bear. There is a law called the law of use. What you don't use, you lose. You don't use the muscles of your arms and legs doing some kind of work, pretty soon you'll notice the atrophy of those muscles. You begin to lose strength by not using. You're in a great land that has tremendous wealth under your feet. Yes, Mother Earth is sacred and it should be treated the way God desired for it to be treated. But if you take that to the extreme and do nothing to cultivate the earth and what is in it, to mine it out and put it into the service of self and others, then your lack of use is considered abuse. And so God permitted the Caucasian to take the land. If God were on your side, you could have overcome them, since you were the majority and they were the minority. But God allowed them to overcome the Native Americans. And they took the land by force. Well, okay. God permitted it, didn't he? You should ask him. Why? You can throw a stone at white folk if you want to. They're here. You took our land. But ask the bigger question. Why, God, did you permit it? Now silence falls over everybody. Because it's easy to attack white folks. Very difficult to question the wisdom of God. In everything that God permits, he's teaching lessons. And the wise who suffer should begin to look into their suffering and ask, why? Well, where were you at that time? Well, we were in Africa minding our own business. And evidently, you had a business all right. But white folk had some business they wanted us to attend to. And some of our own brothers said, you want these tribal fellas? They ain't in my tribe. Sell them. Just like some of us will sell drugs to children for money, for shoes and cars and fine clothes. We had no respect for the value of human life. So as it is today, so it was 430 years ago when our own brothers sold us into slavery to an enemy. Now, I'm in trouble with members of the Jewish community. They don't like Farrakhan. What have I done? I don't paint swastikas on synagogues. And I would stop anyone that we saw doing that. That's the way the Quran teaches us. We respect all houses where God's name is remembered. The Quran does not teach us hatred of Jews or Gentiles or other human beings. The Quran, though, teaches us the hatred of injustice. We cannot embrace you as an evil person until you change your ways. So why are you upset with us? Because Farrakhan says Jews are not the chosen of God. Now you can get angry with me. Bring your Bible, your Torah, and we'll bring the Quran and the Torah and the Gospel. Bring your rabbis, let's sit down and talk about it, but don't say I'm a hater because I'm speaking the truth that the black man of America, the lost sheep, is the one that God has chosen today. You can take it or leave it. I'm ready to defend that before the whole world of religion. These black people think they are nothing. And in fact, we have been reduced to nothing. But because you think you're nothing and have been reduced to near nothing, that doesn't mean that God does not care. He permitted us to become slaves. Here we are, our fathers coming over in a terrible Holocaust. We can't say that putting human beings in ovens is something that we approve of. We don't make mockery of the suffering of Jewish people or any people. But we do have a right to compare our suffering with yours. And if you can make your Holocaust the study of the world, and my children have to learn about your suffering, then why shouldn't your children learn and my children learn about the suffering and the degradation and the destruction of our own people? No Jew who teaches the Holocaust is charged with teaching hatred of Germans.
Think about it.
Think about what I'm saying to you. If a Jewish mother says to her children, sweetheart, this is what happened to your great-grandfather during the rule of Hitler, such and such and so and so. The child will be hurt, will be pained, will hate Hitler, but will the child now take a German today and look at that German and kill today's German for what yesterday's German did? Or will you be charged with teaching hatred in the public schools by teaching the Holocaust? Come on, come on, come on. You see, you can't face this kind of truth. But if I remind my people of that which they don't even know what happened to them to put them in the wretched condition that they're in, that they can't seem to get out of. And nobody, no church, no synagogue, no cathedral, no leader, no teacher has been able to heal the condition that slavery has put on us.
Welcome back. So in this video, Mr. Louis Farrakhan, who is an American cleric, exposes why black people are struggling in the United States of America. Why do you think black people or some black people in the United States of America are going through some struggles? Do you think it is as a result of racism, slavery, or the history behind black people? Why do you think that black people are struggling? Now, he says that people in leadership positions are weak. Talk about preachers, politicians, leaders, teachers. They are weak in defending the people of God. That is what he stated over here. He also says that they are controlled by forces that makes them unable to act or speak on behalf of the suffering people. So people who are suffering in the United States of America, they are not being supported by people in leadership authority who can speak on their behalf, who can talk on their behalf, because these people in leadership positions are being controlled by some forces that makes them unable to speak or unable to act. And I believe these forces that he is talking about is not necessarily spiritual forces, but maybe financial forces, economic forces, and things like that prevent people in leadership positions from talking on behalf of the people who are struggling or who are suffering in the United States of America. He also stated that schools in America are very excellent, but they were not set up to teach Black people what they should know in order to be free from oppression. But Black people need to have a sense of direction in order to liberate themselves. But they will not be able to just liberate themselves because of the education that they have had in the United States of America. He said that all the people at the gathering, that is the audience over there, hold all sorts of certifications and degrees, right from bachelor's to PhDs over there. But they cannot liberate themselves from the struggles that Black people are going through, because the education system over there was not set up in order to free them. He said that Black people are worse today than that of the days of slavery. And this statement is quite ironical or paradoxical. But if you take an in-depth look at it, there is some element of justification in what he is saying. Let me know what you also think about all these in the comment section below. And also don't forget to share this video to your Black community and to friends and family on other social media platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and other social media platforms. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just click the subscribe button down here. Click on the subscribe button. Click as well on the notification bell. And I'd like to see you again in my next video.